Imagine a world where the guillotine never sliced through the Paris air, where kings and queens still dance in golden halls while the people whisper but never shout for change. What if the French Revolution, that earthquake that shook the world, simply never happened? Today, we're diving into a fascinating alternate reality, where France in 1789 follows an entirely different path. Get ready for a journey full of palace intrigues, ideas that never came to life, and consequences that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about history. Curious? Let's find out together what could have been. To understand this world, we need to go back to the late 18th century. In our real timeline, the French Revolution exploded due to overwhelming inequality, Enlightenment ideas, and a monarchy that seemed deaf to the cries of the people. But in our scenario, something changes. Maybe King Louis XVI listens to his wisest advisors. Or perhaps a bountiful harvest prevents the hunger that set the streets ablaze. The point is, the tension exists, but it never reaches the breaking point. The Bastille remains just a prison, not a symbol. The absolute monarchy stays in power. And as the narrator of this story, I can't wait to imagine how this small divergence transforms not only France, but the entire world. Shall we begin? Let's first think about France itself. Without the revolution, Louis XVI remains on the throne, and the absolute monarchy stays as the nation's core. There's no declaration of the rights of man, no guillotine claiming nobles' heads. The court at Versailles continues to host extravagant balls, but perhaps now with cautious reforms. The king, urged by his advisors, might introduce gradual changes, lower taxes for peasants, more rights for the bourgeoisie, but nothing too radical. It's a government that prefers patching to tearing. For the people, that means less immediate suffering, but also less freedom. I imagine walking through Paris without barricades, but with the heavy presence of a king who still claims divine right. And what about the nobility? Without the revolution to topple them, the aristocrats keep their power, their land, and their titles. But they're not fools. Knowing the people are restless, many might support reforms to prevent revolt. Castles would still shine, but might now house schools or hospitals to showcase their generosity. France would become a strange mix of progress and tradition, with golden carriages rolling through streets where commoners live slightly better, but still bow to the crown. You can feel the contrast, right? A world where luxury walks hand in hand with caution, and everyone knows a single spark could change everything. Now let's go beyond France. The French Revolution inspired freedom movements around the globe, so without it, the political map would look very different. Across Europe, other absolute monarchies in Austria, Prussia, Russia breathe a sigh of relief. Without the French example, popular revolts are rarer, and kings hold on to their crowns more tightly. But that doesn't mean peace. Competition between nations continues, and France, still powerful, might channel unrest outward through wars instead of reforms. Imagine French armies marching under royal flags, not republican ones, while the rest of Europe watches with a mix of fear and admiration. And the ideas? The Enlightenment that fueled the revolution doesn't vanish, but it loses momentum. Without France as a stage, thinkers like Voltaire and Rousseau have less impact. Books are written, but passed around in secret read by elites, not the masses. The cry of liberty, equality, fraternity never becomes a rallying call. That makes me wonder, would the world be slower to embrace democracy? Or would other nations, like England with its parliament, take the lead? It's like history is holding its breath, waiting for a different moment to erupt. If you're enjoying exploring this wild idea with me, leave a like to support the channel and help me keep imagining these amazing alternate realities. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Let's keep going, because this world without the French Revolution is just beginning to reveal itself. Now, let's think about the Americas. The French Revolution gave a boost to independence movements. Without it, everything changes. In the United States, which had already gained independence, the French example doesn't reinforce the young republic. Maybe Americans become more isolated, with fewer allies against European monarchies. In Latin America, French influence in revolts against Spain and Portugal is weaker. Colonies like Brazil might remain under European rule much longer, with local elites hesitant to challenge distant kings. Imagine the map of the Americas still painted with the colors of European empires, while the people dream of freedom but lack a clear model to follow. And science? Without the revolution, France doesn't experience the chaos that ironically opened the door to progress. The monarchy might invest in grand projects, naval expeditions, or observatories to display power. But without the Republican fervor, scientists face more censorship. Discoveries like the periodic table or vaccines could take longer, as the environment is less welcoming to radical ideas. I picture secret laboratories where geniuses work under the wary eyes of nobles. It's a world where progress tiptoes. The economy will be different too. The revolution destroyed feudalism in France, but without it, the land and privilege systems remain. Peasants still work for nobles, and the bourgeoisie, though wealthy, lack political power. This slows down industrialization. England, already advancing with steam engines, could dominate global trade even more, while France lags behind, stuck in tradition. French cities would be smaller, more rural, with fewer factories puffing smoke. Can you see it? A world where the technological future always feels just out of reach. And what about culture? Without the revolution, Romanticism born from the struggle for freedom would look different. Art might celebrate royal glory instead of the people's heroes. Music, paintings, and books would exalt the monarchy, while rebellious poets write about justice in the shadows. France would still shine as a cultural beacon, but with a more controlled glow, like a candle in a gilded cage. I find myself imagining a visit to a Parisian theater, where actors recite verses about the greatness of the king, while the audience shares glances filled with secrets. Now get ready for a twist. What if, in this world without revolution, the French monarchy decided to expand not just in Europe, but across its colonies? With no internal chaos, France keeps its military strong and sets its sights on Africa and Asia with renewed ambition. But here comes the unexpected: the colonized peoples, without the French Revolution as an inspiration, don't rebel openly. Instead, they build secret alliances, using the empire's own structure against it. Suddenly, France faces not open revolts, but a global network of silent resistance, like a web you don't notice until it's too late. Imagine the shock in Versailles when the king discovers his empire is crumbling from within. As we come to the end, what would the world look like without the French Revolution? France might be a strong but cautious monarchy, leading a world where kings still rule. Democracy would take longer to bloom, and the ideals of equality would remain whispered, not shouted. But history never stops. Maybe decades later, another spark of book, a distant rebellion, would ignite the fire that France avoided in 1789. The world might be slower, more hierarchical, but full of tensions ready to explode. I look at this scenario and feel a mix of fascination and unease, as if the future is always lurking just beyond the horizon. And you, what do you think? What would it be like to live in a world where the crown still outshines the people? Would you stroll through the gardens of Versailles in awe, keep dreaming of a revolution that never came? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd really love to know what's on your mind. Until next time, keep imagining with me what could have been.